Hello, and welcome back to the Business Pulse podcast. My name is Candice Jarrett. Today, we're talking to Matthew Fernaro, a lawyer who practices complex commercial litigation, including contract disputes. A small business owner himself, he is passionate about helping businesses grow and address their legal issues. We'll talk about all that today and more in episode 8. This is the Business Pulse podcast, where you'll discover strategies, tools, and stories to inspire success through conversations with leading business owners, startup founders, and venture capitalists. Our aim is your success. Presented by XKOVA, a next-generation payment processor to help your business thrive. Visit us at xkova.com. Matthew, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Candice. Thanks for having me.
So I guess let's talk first about where you're practicing law. You're in South Florida, right?
Yes, I'm in South Florida.
And how long have you been practicing law down there?
For 21 years.
Nice. So what made you want to get into law, and then specifically this type of business law?
Sure. So I kind of always knew growing up I wanted to be an attorney. I used to watch like the People's Court and shows like that, but not like Law and Order or anything like that. So I kind of liked legal stuff. I went to undergrad. Yep. I did political science, which is only useful for either being a politician or going to law school. So I went to law school, and when I came out, I worked for a small boutique litigation firm, and then I worked for two AmLaw 200 law firms. And then I had the opportunity to either work at one of the 10 largest law firms in the world or do something else. So I decided to do something else and go out on my own and have my own law firm. And the reason why I focus on helping small and medium-sized businesses is because growing up, my dad had a small business himself, and I saw the issues that he dealt with and the various things that he went through. And I thought that that was like an area that was underserved by like having competent legal professionals there. So that's why I sought out that area, and that's how I kind of got into that.
That's amazing. If you don't mind me asking, what kind of business was your dad in?
Sure. He's in a medical equipment distribution business, which he's since retired. So now he can't take advantage of my skills, but I can help others, I guess.
So, well, that's okay. Pay it forward.
Yeah.
So do you think that your dad being an entrepreneur inspired you then to be an entrepreneur yourself?
Yes, definitely. Because I saw, what my dad did and how, if he didn't work hard or do something, then he didn't make money because, not every 2 weeks someone hands him a paycheck. So that definitely influenced my decision ultimately to go off on my own, form my own business, and then help others with their own businesses.
That's amazing. So I want to dive right into it. What are the biggest challenges that small businesses face? And then I want to ask you, because you have your own law firm, like what challenges you faced starting that?
Sure. So, obviously getting off the ground, doing stuff, capital, labor, all the usual things are probably the biggest issues that face small business on a regular basis. But I would say going beyond that, it would be having the correct, like a written business plan in place and having your correct governing documents for your business organization and correct contracts are probably issues that all businesses face that they need to have in place in order to get their foundation straight before they proceed forward. I would say my biggest issue when I started my business was that I didn't really know anything about business, and I had to learn all this myself, which was a pretty big learning curve because I didn't take business in school. I never had a business course in college, and law school, they don't teach you anything about business, about owning your own law firm. So I had to essentially figure all that out. And I did two things to help me do that. I did a free program by the Kauffman Institute, which is nationwide, which can help small business owners learn the skills and information that they need. And I'm actually an instructor for them now that I do once a year. And then also through Florida State University's Jim Moran Institute for entrepreneurship. I went to a program there, and I'm also an instructor there now. So those two programs basically gave me all the information that I was lacking as far as how to do things for businesses. And now I use that information not only in my own business, but I use it to help other businesses.
That's amazing. So the Kaufman program, is that just a finite time a year? And you said that it's free. Is there some registration or application for that?
Yeah, it's run centrally by the Kaufman program, which I believe is in Missouri, but it's run like independently by different government agencies. So it's run across the country. Like for instance, I took it when it was run by the Broward County, which is the county I'm in, Office of Economics. It's now the thing that I'm an instructor for is actually for the city of Hollywood, their Kaufman program, but they have programs all over the country. It's free. It's like I think they do cohorts is what they call it, like once per year, and it's like for a few months, once a week, and you have a whole program and curriculum that you go through and do it. And then for the Jim Rand Institute, it's all throughout Florida. There's different locations because it's run by Florida State University. It's a very similar program, but some subtle differences, some other different stuff going on there. And that's run at various Florida State facilities throughout the state of Florida. And it runs throughout the year.
So for the listening audience or the viewing audience, I will on our social media go ahead and post links to these things if you want to check them out in more detail, because I think they sound like things that could really help people. So I want to ask you, for these programs, maybe not necessarily the one so much for Florida State University, because that probably does gear maybe toward university students. But for the Kaufman one, do you see a lot of professionals who are perhaps starting over careers later in their life, where maybe they want to purchase a business or start a business later after career?
Yeah, and it's also the same thing with the Jim Moran program through Florida State. It's a lot of people who it's not necessarily, I don't want to say second career, but they've already been in business for a while or they've worked for someone for a while. It's not necessarily just people who are fresh from college. It's a lot of people with a lot of life experience who are going off wanting to pursue their dreams or start their own business. And, it's all different demographics, all different ages, all, anything you can imagine. So it's a lot of, it's definitely a lot of people with a lot of life experience.
That's amazing. So I'll ask you, because you deal with so many businesses, what is the one mistake that you see every business making?
I would say, going back to a little bit what I said earlier about what businesses face, it would be not having a written business plan in place before you even start your business and not having the proper governing documents in place when you do start your business. Like if you're an LLC, you don't have an operating agreement. If you're a corporation, you don't have bylaws or articles of incorporation. And then when you deal as a business, when you deal with other businesses, you don't have contracts in place. So that's pretty much, I would say that's probably the biggest issue that startup businesses, small businesses have, even established small businesses, is that they're lacking those documents.
Do you see that a lot, that small business owners contracting with other businesses without any type of contract?
100%. I see it every day. Surprisingly, you would think like, when you do something, you'd have a contract, but a lot of people just operate with a handshake, or a lot of people just operate with, they send an invoice or they send an email and that's all they have.
Well, I guess, not legal advice for the audience, but so if somebody does have an email agreement, does that weigh in their favor, or you really think that it doesn't really mean anything at all?
Well, if you have a self-serving email that says like, Candace, thanks for promising to pay me $1,000, signed Matt, that's not really self-serving. But if, I send you an email and then you respond and say agreed, then then you have something there. But most, if you want to send something that you get as a binding contract, you kind of want the other person to respond and, say yes and provide their signature. So that's why, like, this day and age, especially with like DocuSign and all things like that, it's very easy to turn anything into a contract very easily and get the other side to sign it. It's not like back in the day where you had to have someone physically sign a piece of paper that you hand to them. I mean, it's all electronic now, so you can very easily convert anything into, can convert your terms of service, you can convert your receipts, you can convert anything into a viable contract just by, putting a little language in there.
So if a small business is going to prepare all of their documents to bring to you to like get your input for what they should do, Do you have any specific tooling that you recommend for their organization, or anything like if someone's going to make a business plan, like a tool that you prefer that they use because you just know that it will come out better?
Yeah, I mean, there's different apps and things that are out there. And basically, there's stuff that you can find online to make business plans. I mean, I have a business plan from a company called Business in a Box, is what is like the plan that I say, if you can do it, do it. Business in a Box is a great thing. It's got thousands of legal documents on it. It's very inexpensive. But there's other, like the other, like legal Zoom type places and stuff. They have business plans as well, and then you can just find something free on the internet. There's no one size fits all business plan, and there's no one right answer or whatever. I mean, obviously, if you can consult an attorney to help you come up with a business plan, if you can't pay for an attorney or whatever, you can use one of the online services. And then if you can't do that, then you can find something online. But you just have to make sure you have something that's like robust, that goes over who, what, when, where, why, how about your business and about your business's growth.
When clients first approach you and they're just starting to be your client, obviously that there's a bunch of setup that you help them do. But what about your recurring clients? Like what's the type of things that people will come back to you like a year, 5 years, or 10 years in the future to get your help with?
Sure. So one of the things I always encourage my clients is the documents that we're just talking about. I don't want to use like a cliche like they're living documents, but they're documents that aren't fixed in time. So you can review them and update them as you go along, like either every half year or a year or whatever it is you want. So, that's something that my clients reach out to me and we work on, is updating their documents or whatever. And then just situationally, when something happens, clients reach out to me, and then we go from there and take care of their issues, hopefully proactively by doing things like revising their documents and things like that, but also reactively by dealing with situations as they arise when they need legal help.
Do you see I just thought of it because you brought up the idea of like living documents and things changing over time. Do you foresee your practice changing at all with the advent of new technologies, like we'll say artificial intelligence?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the majority of what I do is litigation, actually, in addition to what we've been talking about. So the advent of AI has kind of revolutionized what I do, because it's made me a lot more efficient and made me able to do a lot more than I used to previously. But using different AI platforms, like there's specific legal AI platforms like Case Text and other things like that I use, in addition to like broad spectrum AI like Chat GPT and stuff like that. The main point is that you have to be in control of it, and you can't, you have to trust but verify. Everything it does is only as good as the prompts that you put into it. So it's all about prompting it correctly. And then obviously whatever work product it puts out or whatever information it puts out, you have to verify that it's correct. You just can't take its word for it. But yeah, it's definitely, I'll even go as far as say revolutionized, like the way I practice law and the way I do things. It's made things a lot easier for me and made me a lot more capable and a lot more time efficient.
I think that I totally agree with like the fact that it can revolutionize someone's productivity really, but that what you said people should live by: trust but verify. I was just talking with another guest recently who works with AI, who was saying that there was a case where somebody had decided to, I guess, represent themselves and use ChatGPT, and they went in to argue their case, and ChatGPT had referenced all these cases that didn't exist. Like it just hallucinated them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about the specific like AI models that you use that are trained on legal. So how do you feel that those stand up with hallucinations? Do you see them hallucinate as much as ChatGPT, or just different?
Definitely not. Like Case Text that I use, it's Case Text Co-Counsel. It's owned by West, which is like the largest legal publisher there is. That's got like essentially a 100% correct rate where there's no hallucinations, because its entire database is just drawn from legal information, and it's, the programming is so that it gets it correct. The thing with Chat GPT is that it draws from everything, and one of its main points is that it wants, without getting corny or whatever, it wants to make you happy with what it does. So that's why, like that person you give an example of, and I know a lot more examples of bad things that have happened when attorneys have just relied solely on Chat GPT. It wants to give you an answer, and if it can't find the correct answer, it will then make up the correct answer for you, and that's what it does. And that's why you have to verify it. But like the thing with like Chat GPT is that the concepts, or at least my experience has been, is that the concepts that it puts out are generally 100% correct. It's just the sources that they attribute to those concepts are wrong. And that's why you can't trust it to draft legal documents or things like that, because the concepts, like I said, are generally correct, but then the support material is completely wrong, like a large percentage of the time, drastically wrong, like completely made up wrong. And then other times, like it cites the wrong cases and things like that. So that's why, like I said, ChatGPT, you have to be very careful of when you use it in like a legal capacity, to be very careful of it.
So I'm not sure if you know the answer, but I'm just curious. Obviously, with any attorney, there's going to be a lot of privacy concerns. So like with the case test co-counsel, do they have some structure framework in place, like to allow each lawyer who's interacting with it to have some type of privacy gap?
Yeah, there's a privacy component built into it because it knows that people are going to use confidential information and data, whereas ChatGPT is just wide open and there's no confidential information. But generally, when I use any AI, I don't put confidential information into it. So I just put the general concepts or publicly available information. I don't put like this guy's social security number or this guy's, secret formula or anything like that. I don't put any of that data in there. I just put generally available data or concepts. So I don't really deal with confidential data. Like I said, ChatGPT has no confidentiality to it whatsoever because it takes all the information it gathers to make itself better. And then co-counsel and case text does have proper privacy information built into it.
So actually, you answered my second question was, despite the privacy, if you like had a method personally how you dealt with it, and you answered that. So
yeah, I just don't put private information into any AI. I just keep it generalized.
If there was an AI that you could run locally that was not connected to the internet, that was like totally air gapped, do you think that you would then put confidential information in there to allow it to, like, I guess, build your case file for you? Or you think that you would always like go the traditional route of just doing it like outside of an LLM?
I would probably just go the traditional route because things can get compromised, even if it's broken off and you're in like your own network or whatever. I mean, your network can be compromised still, even though it's disconnected from another network. So it's easier to just avoid the issue altogether just by not using the information. And essentially, when you're drafting documents, particularly in litigation, there's not really a need to put confidential information because what you're going to file in litigation is going to be a matter of public record anyways. So you're not going to put confidential things in there. Regarding drafting documents where there could be confidential information, where it's like business documents or contracts or trade secret type stuff or secret deals or whatever you want to call it, I generally don't use AI for that. I use different programs, so I don't have to address those issues.
So I guess I want to ask about your law firm. So where do you see your law firm in like 5 years from now? Like, do you see yourself helping the same type of businesses that you are now, or growing to help different types of businesses, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I see myself, and it's interesting because we talk about the AI. The technology's made me way more efficient than I was when I first started out on my own 9 years ago. I'm able to do a lot more than I used to be able to do with just the resources that I have. So, I mean, I see myself becoming more and more proficient at using the cutting edge technology in order to help my clients, and becoming more efficient and being able to just do more stuff each day, which is pretty much what I'm doing right now. But I can see the more and more technology that comes out, the more and more efficient I can be, and the more and more I can do every day to help my clients.
If somebody wanted to hire you or to find out about your services, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. So I'm not hard to miss. I'm all over the internet and I'm all over social media and stuff. But the easiest way to get a hold of me is to go to my website, which is fornarolegal.com, just my last name, legal.com. And then it's got all my social media and all my stuff on there. And then it's got my phone number, my email address, and any other way you want to reach me.
And I guess I'll just ask, what's your favorite social media platform that you use?
My favorite social media platform that I use probably for business is LinkedIn, because it's the most, it's a little commercialized now. It keeps getting more commercialized, but it's the most business focused and probably the most relevant as far as getting the message out and getting in front of the right people. So the answer is LinkedIn.
What about personally?
Personally, I like Facebook. I mean, I'm like old fashioned. I know Facebook is kind of now for old people, for lack of a better term, versus like Snapchat or whatever else anyone else is doing. But I like it personally. I think it's fun. I don't want to say I grew up with it, but I mean, I'm looking at stuff where I'm getting like messages from stuff that I posted 16 years ago. It shows me like what I posted when I first got on there. So even though it's only been 16 years, I mean, I feel like I've been with it a long time and I'll stick with it. Even
That's a
though,
long time.
like my kids don't use it or younger people don't use it, but, people in my generation and older use it. So it's fine for me.
I've never used Snapchat. I just don't know about the idea of you make a piece of content and then it goes away in 5 seconds or 30 seconds
Yeah.
or however
I
long it
mean,
is.
there's,
Doesn't make sense.
like my son is 16. He uses Snapchat all day long. So I don't get it either, but it's it's what they do.
So actually, I just recently started on LinkedIn myself. I had a profile, but I didn't really do much with it. So I guess I will ask, since you really like the platform, do you have any advice for maybe new businesses who want to grow on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, get out and get your contacts, and obviously you got to get over 500 so you hit the one marker. So get your over 500 contacts and just reach out to people, reach out to other people who are in affiliated industries with you. And you can even reach out to people who are in the same business with you, because generally speaking, most business owners are friendly and want to see other business owners succeed. So it's great to connect with them and be able to converse with them and share ideas with them. And most people on LinkedIn are very friendly. There's a lot of solicitation kind of stuff in there, but if you directly communicate with someone with like a genuine message, I mean, most of the time people respond.
That's awesome. I have found that to be true as well. So I didn't put much effort into it, but now I've started to put some effort and I immediately see the results, which is very satisfying.
Yeah, and there's people who post. I know other attorneys who have like their media people, or they have social media companies. They post stuff on LinkedIn like every single day, like videos and all kinds of crazy stuff on there. I post on LinkedIn probably once a week when I have new like newsletters or like Zoom meetings or different things that I put out. But it's a very effective platform and it's free. I mean, you can use the paid portion, but the free portion, it's great.
So you have a newsletter. What kind of things do you talk about in your newsletter?
Different issues that affect businesses. I have a newsletter. I probably put out one article per week of different issues that affect small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and they're all archived on my website. So you can read all my back issues if you want, but it's just things that affect businesses. Like right now, the latest one we put out is how to properly close out the year as a business owner, and things that you need to do to properly end the year correctly, things you need to look at, things you need to do, make sure you get all your deadlines complied with, and things like that. So that's that's kind of what I put out there.
That's fantastic and a very timely article. So I just want to repeat for everybody, if you want to go to Matthew's website, it is fornarolegal.com. And then you can also find him on LinkedIn, Matthew Fernaro. So, Matthew, thank you so much for being here with me today. Do you have any parting words that you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, just as a business owner, just make sure you believe in yourself and put your plan together and execute your plan and follow your documents, and you'll be fine as far as going forward in business.
Fantastic. Thank you so much again, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving tomorrow.
All right, thank you, Candace. You too.